let's understand the role of the central banks across Africa, because I've been working with the African Development Bank. I've been also working as an international consultant for the World Bank. I've been working in most of your countries. We have an office in Somalia, for example, those who are coming from Somalia, in Mogadishu. We have an office in South Sudan. I had an office in Italy. For example, I've been working in most of your countries, especially in building central banks, in part of monetary policy, and also on fiscal metrics in the Ministries of Finance. So I'm quite familiar with the economic terrain of most of your countries. And I want to thank Right Honorable Speaker Annette Amon and Right Honorable Sarah Pendi for inviting me to be part of this discussion. I'm going to be very brief and say that the issues which the President was talking about here in the early afternoon are exactly the same issues which we in Uganda we have captured. I'm going to present as the African terrain, but you'll excuse me because I'm going to use a lot of data using the Ugandan situation. So the topic which I want to discuss is the African Regional and Inter-Parliamentary Conference as invited us on emerging global challenges threatening sovereignty of an African family. And I'm going to focus myself on combating global challenges threatening our sovereignty. And I'm going to deal very much on the economic front, given my background. The presentation outline, it focuses on the factors or on the threats of the African traditional family, the way we know it. And then we shall move on the threats of the nation as a country. And then I will take you to the challenges and then how we have moved to combat those challenges. And then I will conclude by what, for us in Uganda, we have done in terms of the challenges and that's how we have them. The African family, as we all know it, has had a challenge of foreign interference. That's what we all know. The African culture, as we know it, has been bombarded by a mix of values. Our traditional value system, as we all know, focused on creating a child who is socialized into an African culture and grows as a child. Now, this was anchored in terms of economic configuration of what we call common property regime. Our resources, the way we access resources, was at common property regime level. So you had, if it is a grazing area, if it was a cattle keeping area, we know how we can graze, and it was not possible to graze, for example, to have so many heads of cattle, and you don't take cognizance of the others. So we had resources which we commonly used. In economics, we have a term which we call the tragedy of commons. It's a very old theory by John Haddings. And we were at African level, African family level, conscious of the fact that we should not use the resource as if no any other person is going to use it. So this was pertaining to us until this issue was replaced again by foreign interference. And then we had individualism. And common property, therefore, resource regime collapsed, as you all know. This was impeded, meaning was stampeded by the education system. You look at the education system, the way it was for us in Africa was at a fireplace. We had oral tradition, and children were taught in earnest how to behave, how to communicate, these things of etiquette, which we are finding at a very old, we learned those through what we call tacit knowledge. Most of us, this knowledge we acquired from our mothers, on our fireplace. And in Uganda here also we had an institution which is the paternal auntie institution. This is where the sister of the father used to educate girls how to behave themselves. So that they are good girls, eventually they become very good wives. This is what the president was talking about in the morning. You don't have these unusual and unbecoming behaviors which were being taught. Let's continue. The issue of integrity was paramount in this African setting. Let's continue. On the issue of economy, the benefits were largely rewards. These are what you call transfer payments. You would not even suffer very much. You know, you have your extended family system which will support you. You have complementary hospitality. If you don't have money, you will get it from extended family. And this is how the African the families was configured. Now, comes the impact of the colonial state. In Uganda, it was 1962, and this introduced modern religions. It introduced Christianity, Islam. It's also on the positive side. It provided health services. Then my sister, the Minister of Health, Musa Cheng, is here, and also education. Those structures you are seeing is the Nuwagaba Hospital, the biggest hospital. You have churches, you have Makerere University, that's our university there, that building there, and then this provided a paradigm shift. The other traditional systems we are now changed into the formal education system. Let's continue. Now, the global threat, which I want to focus my attention, is that the African value system within this configuration were affected by three major things. One was what we call internationalization and global capitalism. This came from what we call the Washington Consensus, and under this consensus, the law of the state shrank. This consensus focused on the fact that the state has very little to do within the interstate formation and within the economic and social infrastructure. So the argument was that the state was taking on much than it can manage, and there were lots of thinking that the state has nothing to do, the private sector will take over the road, the economic liberalism will be the way to go, and individualism, that's where you begin to start having these issues of individualism. Yeah, in Uganda here we had so many programs which were built on this consensus, and to cut the story short, this eventually resulted in 2008 debacle which you had. The global financial crisis was actually a culmination of this process. What happened exactly under the global financial crisis in 2008 was that because the state increasingly abdicated its role, for example, in the control of the financial sector, the private sector took over, and within the interest of the private sector, as you all know, self-motive incentive rather than common good. As you remember the way the African family was configured, there was a total debacle in the United States, as we know. And because our economies are integrated in the global financial system, it was not possible for us Africans to say we are not part of that. So we were therefore bombarded by results of the fact that the state abdicated its role to control the financial sector, ensure that if you get a loan from a commercial bank, then you have taken a loan. That money is not yours. In the first instance, why did you take that loan? Why do we take loans? What do you want to use it for? Do you have capacity to pay? That is those three questions can be answered by a financial system which has a very, very serious state control. What is the role of the central bank here, which I am representing here? Is that the role of the central banks in Africa, as we have been working with African Development Bank, are two roles. One is to ensure price stability, to ensure that when you go to shops, you get your commodities at relatively good prices and that they are stable. That's what we do. You know what this is whether you go, even now in the Bank of Uganda. Two, to ensure a sound financial system. That when you borrow, you pay. When you bring your check, your check is honored at the right time. And when you make a payment, RTGS, SWIFT, and so on, it is done efficiently and conveniently. That's what we do. Those roles, let me tell you, those roles, you cannot privatize those roles. Let me say this, the role of the state is very paramount in running some of these. If you don't, then you're going to have trouble. This is exactly what happened. Eventually, the crisis unfolds and we don't have where to go. Let's continue. The second one was where we have problems is the participation, and this is a very big threat, of Africans in key instruments of global economic governance. We must develop what we call, we must follow what we call the principle of second best. This is what the president was talking about in the morning. He labored a lot on this principle we call in economics the principle of second best. Because Africa, how many seats do we have in the Security Council? Do you have a voice in the Security Council? Do you have a voice in deciding quotas? Do you have a voice in deciding guarantees? The other day I was in Geneva. In Geneva we have institutions and we have a consulate. And I was asking why our products do not enter, first of all, the Benelux and the WTO. And the answer which was given when I asked our ambassador, we had an ambassador to Ugandans, asked Julius Moto at Prof in London, and he told me our bananas, for example, cannot find themselves in Tesco, those who are familiar with the UK, in London, in Sainsbury supermarkets. Why? Because of lack of guarantees. We must get guarantees. They must understand rules of origin. These days they have added the carbon cost. These instruments, we are not represented. Now, what we are saying is that Uganda, there is no way Uganda you can influence this. The only influence you can have is aligning yourself with Botswana, with Mozambique, with Burkina Faso, and we form, for us, we started with East African Community, as we have had. In 2004, we formed the Customs Union. Now we are on the common market. We are moving towards the monetary union and eventually political federation. So when you are talking as East Africa, why we are saying principle of second best, you can now be hard. But if you are talking as Burkina Faso, who is Burkina Faso? You tell me who is Burkina Faso, they will not know even where you are located. Mozambique. This is what we need to do, and we need to congratulate the Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Sarah Pendi for a gathering like this. This is what we mean in our economic nomenclature on the principle of second best. What has Professor said here is that Africa, you must increase your voice so that you influence key instruments of global economic governance. We have been having what we call winter springs in Washington. They invite all of us to Washington to discuss a number of issues on how we should manage our economies and so on, which is very good. But what we want is that also these meetings should be taking place possibly also here, and also we discuss at par. And if you want to discuss at par, and want to answer what the president was telling you in the morning, you must have a voice. That's what we are telling you. And you are not going to have this voice through magic or through witchcraft. Those Africans who like witchcraft. You are going to have this voice deliberately by taking deliberate actions. And conglomerate yourselves. Remove these artificial boundaries. Talk about economic blocks. This is what we are talking about. East African Community and Federation. Talk IGAD. I'm currently also working with IGAD. Then you have a COMESA. Then eventually we have our COFTA. And then we are talking. And then you say you are talking. When you come as a COFTA, who is about 1.4 billion people, and then President Trump is saying, in order to bring goods, it's 100%. Even the films now is 100%. So we cannot have a film here and then say it. Or go to sharpen our voices in Hollywood. It's not possible. Trump is telling you to pay 100%. Why are you begging him? Why don't you have your own African Afri-wood? So you have your own Afri-wood. And here I need to congratulate Nigeria. We need to congratulate Nigeria. Because Nigeria has been moving very, very well on this front. So that you have your own films instead of saying 100% tax tariff to these places. So we want to say that we want partnerships. We don't want begging. And this one we want to be very, very emphatic. Africans, we are tired of begging. We are tired of dead aid. We want partnerships and partnership principles. And this is where you can say African Growth and Opportunity Act. But if you continue saying terms of trade, here we are exporting about 9 million 60 kilogram bags of coffee. How many millions of bags of coffee can you sell in order to buy just a simple commodity like Apple computer, just an Apple laptop. How many bags of coffee do you want? You look at that terms of trade, which would define as the relative value of the commodity you are exchanging to the person who giving that commodity. What effort did you put in? What is the value in that regard? Let's move. The third threat is the one we are calling the weaponization of certain instruments. Now, if you say you cannot bring a commodity here, or you cannot make a payment unless it is me who is sanctioning that payment, what exactly are you saying? Is that you are really controlling. You are really even controlling not only what I'm doing, but even how I'm supposed to be paid. These are things which, at family level, we are saying African values, African family, but there is no way you are going to have the growth of African family. There is no way you are going to have a robust African value with a value system without taking command of some of these things, which most of us must understand. Let's continue. So what have we done? What has Africa done? I'm going to dwell now on Uganda for us what we have done in order to combat this. Number one, we have focused on peace and security. This President Museveni here has focused on peace and security as sacrosanct for economic performance. The argument is that there is nothing that can be done. Tell me anybody here who can conduct economic activity without peace and security. I've already told you we are in Somalia. We have an office in Somalia. In Somalia, we don't have money. This Somalian delegation can tell you. Somalia, we use money which is digital. It is the American dollars which are digital. So even a beggar on Somalia on Mogadishu Road is begging on a mobile phone. Just to show you a mobile phone. I also want to congratulate the Dutch. The people in the world, out of the 192 countries whose currency is digital, are two. The Dutch, and it is represented here, and Somalia, of course, for different reasons. But in Somalia, those who don't understand the importance of peace and security, since 1991, no peace in Somalia. Our army has been in Somalia. UPDF here, Uganda Defense Forces has been in Somalia as part of AMISOM to ensure using the African Pan-Africans, in which the president was telling him the morning, as a Pan-Africanist, he agreed, our president agreed to sacrifice our boys and girls. They have been in Somalia to trying to create peace. We have been also in Somalia trying to build building the Somali Central Bank, the ministries of planning and finance. That's where my work has been. I've been also in South Sudan, trying to help, for example, we have built the South Sudan Revenue Authority. We have actually built that authority very, very seriously now with the people in South Sudan government, and we have been trying to help where we can as Africans. There is no way you can say, also, the president explained it here, that you are secure here in Uganda when there is a problem in South Sudan, or there is a problem in Mogadishu. There is very beautiful, there is Mozambique. There is, you have to be concerned. Why should you be concerned? Because when there is a problem in South Sudan, our trade balance with South Sudan is $700 million. The goods which we sell against the goods that also South Sudan exports here, that we gain $700 million. So we cannot, therefore, sit here when South Sudan has a problem and we feel comfortable. You cannot. So we, as Africans, we have to understand the sanctity of the market and how this is important for building not only our economic muscle, but eventually you see political votes are cast in the market. There's no way you can have political stability when you don't have economic muscle. There's no way you can talk about political independence when you don't have economic independence. Let me put it that way. You must work on your power of the economy first, and then you can talk about how you can build strong state formations. But the government here has need to be congratulate His Excellency the President for creating peace and security. You are here up to Sunday. You can walk, you can go and see and participate in a night economy here. Our night economy here is very, very vibrant. And nobody will touch you. You can move from here, you can go to Kampala, in the part of Kampala, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., nobody will touch you, nobody will ask you anything. We congratulate here the government for peace and security, which have been sacrosanct for economic growth and transformation. Then number 2 has been the strong state formation here with robust legal and institutional framework. We need strong institutional frameworks to ensure the democracy, that's what the President was telling you, as a pillar for now state formation. Number 3, you have education. We have been here focusing on education because you cannot also have liberated people who are not educated. Education is a liberator, is a pace setter, is an equalizer. I'm here, just look at me. Just look at me. I'm here because of nothing other than education. Because of nothing other than education. It is not because my father had cows which he gave to me a lot of land, but most of you are sitting in those parliaments, not because of your power, of your might, but because especially of the power of education, which equalizes you now with other rich people in the countries where you are coming from. Just look at the people where the place where you come from. For you, really, the reason why you are seated here, 99.9% of you is nothing other than education. We must invest in education as also another sacrosanct policy for equalizing us. Here, the President has focused on also energy, infrastructure, and energy. That's why he has been talking about Germany, how Germany was able to conquer France and took over Belgium and was almost taking the UK, as you have heard, except in the Normandy landing. That's the one which saved UK, as you all know, with the monumental treat. Yes, in the whole, there is even a carrier group which currently is the ones in the Mediterranean Sea that is supporting Israel against Hamas. Infrastructure is very, very instrumental. That's why even Germany was able to recapitulate. Germany was able to come back very quickly after the Second World War. Why? Because of the infrastructure base Germany had made, both in industry and also the road and the infrastructure. So Germany did not take the Marshall Plan, as America spearheaded it, did not take a very big and longer time, because Germany already had a very, very serious basic infrastructure. This is what the President is doing. We need roads, we need electricity, especially the real infrastructure, which can now transport goods easily, and then you can be able to say, Africa, we can take goods from here to Khartoum, from here to Lagos, and so on, and then we can say that our goods can move. And then in Uganda here, we are successfully exploring oil and gas, and we think that this is going to be a game changer in terms of our economy. Let's move quickly and finish. Number 2, in terms of economic management, here in Uganda, we manage our economy very tightly. We have very strong macroeconomic performance. Our fundamentals are very, very heavily controlled. Our growth, you can see, with the exception of that 3% you are seeing, and you can guess, you cannot guess if you look at the year. That's the reason why we have that drop with just COVID. Otherwise, our curve has been very, very good. We have been having very, very good growth in terms of per capita income now is 1,046, and Uganda is now a middle income country. Medium income country must have 3 consecutive years of 101,033 US dollars per person. What you need now to know at the family level, where the family comes in now, is that what Professor is talking about. 1,046. These are just a few rich people whose money you are dividing it over the total population. Those who have been in some elementary economics class, is that the way we calculate per capita income, we get the total richness of the country divided by the total population. We get the total income of the country. Anybody who did business, anybody who carried out economic activity, and there was exchange of money, add up all those activities, tourism, trade, those who had hotels, those who had the schools and the poor are coming, add up. divided by total population. If you want that 1046 US dollars per Ugandan, Uganda now we are about 47 million people. Then each family must have contributed, must have participated in economic activity. Otherwise, we are going to take these numbers and they are just artificial numbers. And those of you who have been in these East Asian countries, Thailand, Singapore, and then recently Vietnam and so on, they have capitalized on what we call cottage industry. These are their families, their homes are what we call functional homes, where the home is functional. Because you see, a home is a consumptive, most of African countries, our homes are consumptive centers. But also you need to know that the home spends. It's an expenditure, you see the expenditure center as well. So why don't you also make it as a productive center? That's what Thailand did. You should just go to Bangkok and see what will happen in 1 hour. Someone is already coming to measure you and he has a sewing machine at home and is ready to produce a shirt, a dress, and whatever. So their homes are functional. It's what an African home, an African family needed to realize, that you don't only need to be a spending center. You need health education of children and so on. We also need to realize that it is a productive unit as well. This is what Asian titans have done. Those countries have not grown because of very big industries. They have grown because of the cottage sector, because of investing in small factories, small, not even factories, small productive units in the families, and eventually their economies have grown. And that is what we are saying. This is what the president here and cabinet are forcing. We are having here programs which are focusing on families, direct focusing on families. And these are, the way it is done is that the program identifies in the villages the people who just are doing certain activities, and then the government directly intervenes to bring these people, because Uganda has been about 68%, and at Africa level it has been about 64% of the people who want to participate in the monetary economy. And then you need services. Where will government get services if you are not participating in any economic activity, and we are not getting any tax from you? Where shall we get money to finance? You need medicine, you need this, your child to go to school and so on. An African family must realize that is also an expenditure center. That's what I've said this afternoon. Let's continue. I think we are finishing. Also, the president, as you saw in the morning, has been focusing very seriously on creating sovereignty, but also harnessing, as I've already told you, the principle of second best. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. What we are doing is to have a market that is large. The market you are telling you currently is about 331 million people. And I'm the one who produced the East African, those who are East Africans here. I'm the one who produced the East African development strategy, strategy for one which has been running in Arusha. And under this strategy, we have infrastructure, we have financing of health, especially cheaply. We want to see how we can even have a national health insurance. And there are certain countries I'm very happy, Kenya, I think Rwanda, who are leading in this, to ensure that now we can have a healthy population. And then you have what you call a human capital. There's no way you can have a human capital when you do not have a healthy population, a productive population, and then a healthy mind, which houses a healthy body. We are working on harnessing Pan-Africanism, as we all know through AFCOFTA, where we are thinking that instead of these rules of origin, the problems of I've already told you in London, to have your meat under EBA. I was in Saudi Arabia attending International Monetary Fund meeting the other week. We had EBA, everything but arms agreement, and of course to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, and all these countries. But eventually, it doesn't work out. Why? Because again of very smallholder production. But if the production function was larger and the market was big here, we wouldn't even need some of these international markets. We would be having our own market, which is sufficient. That's why we congratulate East African community, we congratulate IGAD, we congratulate people from COMESA, ECOWAS, And ECOWAS has to be even congratulated more because it even goes further to deal with issues of security, and to ensure the security of these countries. And eventually all of us should move towards the COFTA so that we have the entire African common market. Let's finish conclusions. Therefore, what Vice said, let's go. Number one, we need to enshrine traditional African ideals and values in our modern family. There's no way here. We need to give very, very big round of applause to our Right Honorable Speaker and our members of Parliament. His Excellency the President and the First Lady who is our Minister of Education as well, for standing firm against this interference. And for us in Uganda here, we said, if it means that we have to forego what we have been getting from you, because we have also, now you dictate that we must supplant our traditional values with your own values. We are not going to do that. That's what we did here. We supported our parliamentarians. They are all here, they know it. We said, please, vote appropriately. The president will assent to that bill. President Museveni assented to that bill. And we were very lucky. Even the presidency changed in the White House. Now we have President Trump. For me, I've been even Trump, even in the first term. I supported Trump the first term. I'm supporting Trump even now. Why? The reason why we love Trump here is for two things. Trump is for the family, in case some of you didn't know. Trump is for the family 100%. President Trump, whom you see, some of you are not understanding him. He's for the family. Here I supported him even in the first. Number two, President Trump teaches you really to wipe out stupidity from your mind. To wipe out stupidity. How stupidity? What kind of stupidity is this? How can you think, you Africans? Let me tell you. How can you continue thinking? Especially ladies. Let me address myself to ladies here. Especially ladies. Never, ever take free gifts. You will take a free lift. I'm telling you from here, I said, Professor Nuwagaba told us, you will see what will happen with your free lift. How you are money, board the bus and go where you are going. You just have to go where you are going, rather than a free lift. So I've been wondering in these African countries, how can you continue thinking, what kind of naivety is this? That somebody can take care of your health sector, somebody can take care of your sick person. What kind of stupidity is this? So President Trump is saying it is high time to really stop this kind of and that's what he's saying. Number two, and we are supporting that this is the first time Africans, you must think, take responsibility of your actions. That's what we are saying. If you produce children you can't manage, please don't start displacing those children to us. You find us who are working in this company here, you are looking after I don't know how many children. Even when you go home now, somebody has come in the home, why did you come to do? I don't know what I came to do here, but I'm here because he knows you a big brother, big sister who is here, and the mother tells him, okay, somebody, somehow, God will look after you. How would you do this? Agree with the God and men, they're not going to when you are producing children, you can't produce. Number three, you need to adapt and scale up STEM, science, technology, mathematics is very, very, very fundamental now. This is what South Korea did. Those who don't know exactly what South Korea did, and was Mr. Pro, it's a general, was a Nami general, Mr. O. What O did with the General Park Chung, he was ready to adopt science, STEM, and if you do not want science and technology, then you had to go and study somewhere else. And these are decisions which have to be very deliberate. We need to adopt science and scale it up and technology. Then strengthen Pan-Africanism. I don't want to labor this. The president talked about this. We labored to talk about this in the afternoon, and we don't want to dilute the words of physics and chemistry. We should therefore, again, undertake deliberate action for youth skills and development, for job creation. Because as parliamentarians, you are the ones who should make these laws. Why, for example, why don't you come up with a law like this? Every child who completes higher education take 1 year before admitted to any, again, higher, either any higher tertiary education, before they go to the university. And actually, the good thing children of these days start education early, so they are young girls and boys. If we take 1 year doing this, then it is possible that we can reduce unemployment. Because some of us, including me, it is not possible to take my child after a student instead of, this is not Germany. I know that is what happens in Germany. But Germany, this is historical. Germany has been like that for so many years. After Syria 2, in Germany, equivalent of Syria 2, people got polytechnics. By the time they come out of 2 years, in Germany, and because of the growth of the private sector, the industrial machinery, and the German machine, which you all know, there is very little appetite for a German teenager to now continue with the primary, with the second education and university. There are very, very few, therefore, universities you find in Germany. Because for them it's culture, that mechanics is even the person who is just swinging. I normally like them when they come on a wedding, everybody swinging on 11 spanners, show that he's a mechanic. This is the person who has more respect in Germany. That's how they treat. But here in Africa, it is different. The colonial state created the lock in our heads that you have to be academic. Now, since you are like that, therefore African, let me just give you the issue to unlock. Why don't we say after 1 year, then let's everybody of us take a skill? Or if that cannot work, then let's adopt the Chinese method of teaching. China, it is called geo-qualification framework. The Ugandans who are here, the way we teach medicine, our degrees here of medicine is Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. The way we teach medicine here is the way we teach economics. We teach in the classroom, but the reason why a doctor is different from me is that he went for clerkship, and also he went for surgery, and then there are theaters, and so on. Otherwise, other subjects we teach exactly the same way. That's how China is. China, every degree is 2 degrees. There is 1 degree. China is going to colonize this Africa if we are not careful. Every degree in China is Bachelor of Economics. I should have a Bachelor of Economics and Bachelor of Planning. Bachelor of Economics and Bachelor of IT, something like that. So that you have now children who can be well employed. And this is what I'm proposing for you. So why can't you go in your parliaments and say, let's change our education system and create a qualification framework which makes people employable. Otherwise, the growth is which we have, finally, as I get out of the podium, is that the growth which we have in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, is about 5.6. Uganda, we are above about 6.3. Next year, we are growing at 7.2. But most of this growth, that's why President Trump is very, very bitter with China, is that this growth is jobless growth. And President Trump is not going to take this message. Trump is saying, in case you are not understanding him, he's saying that this deficit of $537 billion per year, with China, which has 160. In other words, China sends goods to US 160 billion. But America sends, to China goods 160 billion. China sends to America goods 587 billion. And Trump is saying this cannot happen. We must produce these goods here. And that's what we have to do. We need to ensure that you can take charge of our economy. If you take charge of our economy, you take charge of your market, you take charge of our economic activity, then you can even have politics which are democratic. Let me also repeat what I've said here, that we cast these political votes and ballots are cast in the market. You cannot fully have a fair function in the market and talk about democracy. You cannot not be having a robust economy and you talk about constitutionalism and democracy. It will be a fair, just a fallacy. So we need to build our economies. These will make us robust, and we should have robust families which are productive, and then that's what we can manage our politics very, very I want to thank you and congratulate you. And thank my sister, Sarah Pendi, for inviting me. I will take what you have done here to our central bank, inviting the central bank to be part of this process, and to also thank Right Honorable Anita Mongo for this wonderful meeting. God bless you and travel safely those who will be going back. Thank you very much.